So before I start, I want to apologize for my visual aids. As we know, the coronavirus has made it difficult, so I'm now doing this on a YouTube video. So my visual aids might not be super clear. I will attempt to make them as clear as possible. But moving on, as I'm sure most of you know, St. Patrick's Day was last month, and I'm sure a lot of you have thought about what is the holiday really about? Because I know I have, but my family has really strong Irish roots. My family actually owns one of the most famous pubs in Dublin. And I actually took my senior trip in Ireland, and I remember one of the reasons I started looking into the holiday was because I was there for my senior trip, and is one morning we were walking through Dublin, and we were just looking around, looking around, but so I remember that it was a cold morning and it was kind of rainy, so the roads were kind of slippery. And the roads there in the touristy kind of sections are cobblestone, like individuals, so I tripped on one of them and I fell, and I saw this poster in front of me, and I was there in April, so it was right after St. Patrick's Day, and it was a poster for St. Patrick's Day, like for the parade they do there. And so I thought, maybe I'll do a little research about this while I'm here. So I did, but then I kind of forgot about it until I started doing this project, and now I've really looked into it, and it's very interesting. So the three things we're going to talk about in this video is what is the holiday really about, like what are its origins, and what is it now? And secondly, we're going to talk about how it's celebrated in Ireland today and how it used to be celebrated. And thirdly, we're going to talk about how it's celebrated in other parts of the world. So, moving on to the first point, what is the holiday actually about? Well, little background for the holiday, as you probably know, it takes place on March 17th, and another name for it, according to an article by the editors of the Encyclopedia Britannica, labeled St. Patrick's Day in the Encyclopedia Britannica. It takes place on March 17th, and it is also known as the feast day of St. Patrick, who was a patron saint of Ireland. He's actually born in Britain, which I did not know, and he was kidnapped by Irish pirates at the age of 16, taken to Ireland as a slave. He later escaped, but actually later came back as a missionary to spread Christianity to Ireland. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And now they celebrate, or not now, but kind of now. They later started celebrating the day as his death to honor him. But it was actually the Americans who changed it into the way that we know it today, just basically a celebration of all things Ireland. And that actually started with gatherings in Boston in 1737. They kind of just gathered, a lot of Irish masses gathered in Boston. Wasn't really a parade yet, but kind of. And then they actually started holding parades every year in New York, starting in 1762. And since 1962, Chicago has actually colored its river green to commemorate the holiday. But the funny thing is, St. Patrick was actually known for the color blue, not for the color green. The green is more associated with Ireland. And Ireland has now adopted the parade thing and just celebrating Ireland, basically, mostly for the benefit of tourism, not because of the actual origins of the holiday. And I actually have a picture of a stained glass window of St. Patrick, and there were a lot of myths about him, and one of them was that he would help teach Christianity, the story of the Trinity, with 3-leaf clovers. So I thought that was a cool little story, and kind of gave me a little more benefit about why clovers are so widely used in Ireland. Moving on to the next point, how is St. Patrick's Day celebrated in Ireland today, and how did it used to be celebrated? According to an article written by Elizabeth Nix on the history.com website, labeled "Is St. Patrick's Day Celebrated in Ireland?" Traditionally, it was more of a somber holiday. It was kind of a moral obligation to the Irish Catholics in Ireland to remember, in remembrance of the death of St. Patrick and how Christianity was brought to Ireland. So, but now it's more of a touristy kind of thing. They do parades every year, and it's not so much in remembrance of him. It kind of is, but it's more about just all things green and Irish, and but so, and moving on to the last point, how is it celebrated in other parts of the world? Well, I did not realize until looking this up. According to an article written by Sandra Bolger on the We Travel website, named 15 surprising countries that celebrate St. Patrick's Day. According to that, pretty much every country, like every major country in the world celebrates it. But like some of the ones they had listed were Montserrat, the USA, Argentina, the UK, Norway, Turkey, Japan, Australia, Croatia, New Zealand, India, Canada, and Russia. And all of them celebrated in their own different ways, but mostly they have parties and parades that are just mainly covered in green. Like this is one from Canada, just a lot of green and a big parade. And like here's a picture of in Russia. Sorry, that's really small, but there's actually snow on the ground, and they have but this is more of a gathering type thing, but they're waving Irish flags and doing all that kind of stuff. So it's basically celebrated all around the world now, but more of the touristy kind of version, not the remembrance of St. Patrick. But so in conclusion, the holiday is originally was in remembrance of St. Patrick's death, which I mean it still kind of is, but more of it's more of a touristy kind of thing now. It's more about just a celebration of all things Irish, and it is celebrated all around the world, including Ireland and the USA and basically everywhere else. Even in Japan, that one actually surprised me. But so now after watching this, I hope you have you should have a good wealth of knowledge about how Ireland and everywhere else celebrates St. Patrick's Day and what the holiday what is really about. So thank you.